Paralyzed millionaire says black nurse can't help anyone. Her miracle therapy makes him walk again. The bitter words echoed through the sterile halls of the Wellington Medical Center like poison seeping through marble walls. Vincent Ashford, heir to a $340 million pharmaceutical fortune, had just delivered the cruelest dismissal of his life to the one person who could save him. "Get that incompetent woman away from me." Vincent snarled from his platinum-plated wheelchair, his voice dripping with entitled venom. "A nurse from the projects can't help anyone, least of all someone like me." But what Vincent Ashford didn't know was that Dr. Plast, Maria Santos, wasn't just any nurse. Hidden beneath her humble scrubs was the brilliant mind of a revolutionary neuromuscular therapist who had performed medical miracles that defied everything traditional medicine believed possible. For 3 years, Vincent had been trapped in his wheelchair, a prisoner of his own paralyzed legs and bitter hatred. He had spent $15 million on the world's most expensive doctors and exhausted every conventional treatment. Nothing had worked. But Maria Santos carried something more powerful than money knowledge that would shatter Vincent's world and rebuild it in ways he never thought possible. The Wellington Medical Center stood like a monument to medical excellence in Manhattan's Upper East Side, its glass towers reflecting the morning sun. This wasn't just any hospital, it was Vincent Ashford's personal medical fortress, built with his family's pharmaceutical money. Vincent Ashford rolled his wheelchair through the marble corridors with practiced bitterness. The accident that had severed his spinal cord had taken more than his ability to walk. It had stripped away his identity as a powerful pharmaceutical executive. Mr. Ashford, called Dr. Teen Eye and Side of Teen Mez. Harrison Phillips, the chief neurologist whose $1 million salary was funded by the Ashford Family Foundation. "I have someone I'd like you to meet. She's been specially requested by your physical therapy team." Standing behind Dr.idlusen.com. Phillips was a woman in simple navy blue scrubs. Maria Santos, 38, had dark skin that glowed with inner strength that immediately irritated Vincent. Her presence felt different, calmer, more centered, as if she carried secret knowledge. "Mr. Ashford," Maria said, extending her hand with a warm smile that Vincent ignored completely. "I'm Maria Santos. I understand you've been struggling with mobility challenges. I'd like to help." Vincent's cold blue eyes scanned Maria with calculating cruelty. What he saw disgusted him. A woman whose accent carried hints of the Bronx, whose uniform was practical rather than prestigious, whose skin color reminded him of service workers he'd spent his life overlooking. "Struggling?" Vincent laughed like breaking glass. "Lady, I've been seen by the best neurologists in the world. Dr. Steinberg from Johns Hopkins, Dr. Chen from Stanford, Professor Williams from Oxford. If they couldn't fix me, what makes you think some community college nurse can do anything?" "Sometimes the most powerful solutions come from places we don't expect," Maria replied calmly. "Don't expect to look?" Vincent's voice rose to a shout. "I don't expect to look in the ghetto for medical miracles. I pay for excellence, not whatever charity case Dr. Phillips dragged in here." "Vincent, Maria comes highly recommended." Dr. Phillips tried to intervene. "Recommended?" Vincent interrupted. "You mean voodoo, folk medicine, crystal healing? Is that what my $15 million has come to?" Maria stood absorbing the verbal assault with dignity. "Mr. Ashford, 3 years ago, I helped a young man named Carlos Rodriguez walk again after doctors said he'd never leave his wheelchair. 2 years ago, I worked with Sarah Chen, a pianist who had lost all feeling in her hands. Last month, I assisted Michael Johnson in regaining full mobility after motorcycle accident." Vincent stared at her. "Impossible. Complete spinal cord severing is irreversible." "Traditional medical thinking says it's irreversible," Maria corrected. "But I don't practice traditional medicine. I practice possibility." "Possibility?" Vincent's laugh was cruel. "Listen, sweetheart, I deal in facts. Facts like nerve damage, spinal trauma, and irreversible paralysis, not New Age nonsense." Maria pulled out a tablet showing before and after videos. "These aren't fairy tales, Mr. Ashford. These are documented cases I've personally overseen. Anyone can fake a video. You think I'm stupid enough to fall for internet hoaxes, Mr. Ashford?" Dr. Phillips interjected. "I've verified Maria's credentials. She has a doctoral degree in neuromuscular therapy from Columbia. advanced certification from Mayo Clinic, and published research that's been cited by... I don't care if she has a degree from Mars University. Vincent snarled. Look at her. Does she look like someone who performs medical miracles? She looks like someone who should be emptying bedpans. The silence was suffocating. Maria closed her tablet slowly, her movements controlled. When she looked up, her eyes held something that made Vincent lean back. Mr. Ashford, you're right. I don't look like the doctors you're used to. I don't wear $1,000 suits or have my name on hospital wings. But those doctors you've spent $15 million on? They failed you completely. Vincent's mouth opened to deliver another insult, but Maria continued. They failed because they're treating your paralysis as a medical problem to be solved with surgery and pharmaceuticals. I treat it as a communication breakdown between your brain and body that can be rebuilt using techniques they never learned. My spinal cord is severed. There's nothing to communicate through. Your spinal cord has damage, not complete severing, Maria replied with confidence. Your L3, L4 vertebrae show 78% neural pathway destruction, which means 22% of your connections are still intact but dormant. Those connections can be reawakened. Vincent stared. Those were exact details from his medical files. How did you get access to my records? Dr. Phillips provided them so I could develop a proper treatment plan. A plan that addresses not just physical paralysis, but neural pathways that can be restored through intensive neuromuscular stimulation therapy. The technical terms flowing from Maria's lips made Vincent pause. This wasn't community college vocabulary. This was expert-level understanding. Even if what you're saying is true, why would you want to help me? I've been nothing but hostile. Maria smiled sadly. Because I took an oath to help people heal, regardless of how they treat me. And because underneath all that anger, I see a man who's been suffering without hope. That's something I can't ignore. If this story of hidden healing power is already touching your heart, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. What you're about to witness will challenge everything you think you know about the power of healing. Vincent Ashford had built his fortune on the principle that everything had a price and every person could be categorized based on superficial judgments. Maria Santos was about to shatter those beliefs with a demonstration that would haunt him forever. You want to prove you can help me? Vincent challenged. Show me, right here, right now. If you're so revolutionary, let's see this miracle therapy. Maria nodded as if expecting this challenge. Mr. Ashford, what I'm about to do will feel strange, but I need you to trust me for 10 minutes. Trust you? Vincent laughed bitterly. I don't trust anyone. Especially not someone who claims she can fix what $15 million couldn't touch. Then don't trust me. Trust the science. Maria pulled on latex gloves with surgical precision. What I'm demonstrating is targeted neuromuscular electrical stimulation combined with proprioceptive feedback therapy. A technique I developed by combining traditional therapy with neural pathway reactivation. She approached Vincent's wheelchair, withdrawing what looked like a small electronic device covered with wires and sensors. This device sends micro-electrical impulses directly to dormant nerve clusters in your lower spine. Maria explained. The electrical stimulation mimics signals your brain would normally send, essentially reminding your neural pathways how to function. Vincent eyed the device suspiciously. That looks like something from Amazon, not legitimate medical equipment. This device cost $47,000 and was developed with Columbia University's Biomedical Engineering Department. Maria replied, I helped design the neural stimulation algorithms myself. Something in her tone made Vincent pause. This wasn't grandiose claims, this was confident expertise. Fine, but when this doesn't work, I want you gone permanently. Maria began attaching sensors to specific points along Vincent's spine, locating nerve clusters with memorized precision. Traditional medicine treats spinal injuries as permanent damage that can only be managed. But neuroplasticity research shows the nervous system has remarkable regenerative capabilities when stimulated correctly. Vincent felt the first electrical pulse and jerked. What was that? Neural pathway activation. Your 3 nerve cluster just received its first artificial signal in 3 years. How does it feel? Vincent paused, confusion replacing scorn. I thought I felt something, but that's impossible. Not impossible. Improbable, but not impossible. Maria, increase stimulation. Now I'm activating the L4 cluster. Tell me what you experience. For the first time in 3 years, Vincent felt something resembling sensation in his lower back. Not pain, not pleasure, but awareness. I can feel tingling, like my leg is asleep and waking up. Vincent's voice had lost all hostility, replaced by wonder. That's your nervous system remembering how to communicate. Maria explained. Now I'm stimulating the motor neurons controlling your left quadriceps. The pulse was stronger, and Vincent's left leg twitched visibly, the first voluntary movement since his accident. Oh my God, Vincent whispered, staring at his leg. It moved. My leg actually moved. That was just reflex stimulation. Maria cautioned. True motor control takes weeks of intensive therapy, but this proves your neural pathways aren't completely severed. They can be rebuilt. Philip stepped forward, stunned. Vincent, in 30 years of neurology, I've never witnessed this kind of immediate response in chronic paralysis. Vincent looked at Maria with transformed expression, contempt replaced by awe. How is this possible? How did you do in 10 minutes what specialists couldn't accomplish in 3 years? Maria began disconnecting sensors gently. Because I don't just treat symptoms, I treat the whole person body, nervous system, and neural patterns that connect them. Most doctors see paralysis as a broken machine needing repair. I see it as a communication system that needs to be retaught. Communication system? Your brain hasn't forgotten how to walk. The pathways have gone dormant from lack of use. Think of it like a road that's been abandoned. It's still there, but overgrown and needs clearing before traffic can flow. Vincent was quiet, processing what he'd experienced. I felt my leg, Maria. For the first time in 3 years, I actually felt my leg. This is just the beginning. With consistent therapy, we can rebuild those pathways until they're functioning normally. How long? 6 months of intensive daily therapy, maybe 8, depending on your nervous system's response. And you really think I could walk again? Maria looked directly at him, dark eyes meeting blue with unwavering confidence. If you're willing to work and trust the process, I don't think you'll walk again. I know you will. The words hung between them like a bridge spanning an impossible chasm. Vincent Ashford was being offered something no pill or surgery could provide, genuine hope backed by demonstrable results. Why? Vincent asked suddenly. Why help me after everything I said? I was cruel, racist. I judged you and treated you like you were worthless. Maria sat across from his wheelchair, expression serious but kind. 3 years ago, I was working in a Bronx community clinic when a young gang member was brought in with spinal gunshot wound. He was paralyzed, and everyone had written him off as another statistic. She paused, eyes focusing beyond the room. Carlos Rodriguez called me every name in the book, questioned my qualifications because I was a woman, made racist comments about my accent. Told me I was too stupid to help him because I came from his neighborhood. Vincent felt uncomfortable recognition. But underneath all that anger, I saw a scared kid who thought his life was over. So I worked with him every day for 8 months, endured his insults, his resistance, his complete lack of faith. And you know what happened? He walked again. He walked again. But more than that, he learned that healing isn't just about fixing broken bodies. It's about fixing broken spirits. By the time Carlos took his first steps, he had become one of the most grateful, humble people I've ever worked with. Maria leaned forward. Everyone deserves a chance to heal, Mr. Ford. Ashford, rich or poor, kind or cruel. Pain is pain, and suffering is suffering. My job isn't to judge whether someone deserves help. My job is to help them heal so they can become the person they're capable of being. Vincent absorbed words that cut through his psychological defenses. For 3 years, he'd focused on physical paralysis. He'd never considered that his emotional and spiritual paralysis might be equally debilitating. I don't deserve your help, Vincent said finally. That's not for you to decide. That's for me to decide, and I've decided that you do. Can you believe what just happened? Vincent's leg moved for the first time in 3 years. If this story is making you think differently about healing and second chances, smash that like button and share this with someone who needs hope. 8 months later, the Wellington Medical Center was preparing to host the most remarkable demonstration in its history. Word had spread through the medical community about Maria Santos and her revolutionary spinal rehabilitation approach. Neurologists and specialists from around the world had requested permission to observe the Ashford miracle. Vincent Ashford stood at his suite window, looking out at Manhattan with legs that carried his full weight for the first time in nearly 4 years. The journey from that first electrical stimulation had been the most challenging and transformative experience of his life. "Are you ready?" Maria asked, entering with the same equipment bag from 8 months earlier. Vincent turned from the window. Maria marveled at the transformation beyond just physical capabilities. The bitter, cruel man who had dismissed her as incompetent had been replaced by someone whose eyes held depth, gratitude, and humility that money could never buy. "I've been ready since you made my leg twitch," Vincent replied, voice carrying none of his former arrogance. "But Maria, I need to say something first." Vincent walked slowly across the room, careful, still building strength, but walking nonetheless. When he reached Maria, he looked directly into her eyes. "I owe you more than my legs, Maria. You gave me back my humanity. You always had your humanity, Vincent. It was just buried under pain and fear. The therapy didn't create your capacity for growth. It gave you the hope needed to access it. The man who insulted you 8 months ago is a stranger to me now," Vincent continued. "I don't recognize that person. The prejudice, the cruelty, the assumption that worth could be measured by skin color, I'm ashamed of who I was. Healing isn't just about broken bones and damaged nerves, Vincent. Sometimes it's about broken spirits and damaged hearts. You've healed in more ways than one. Because of you, because you saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. I saw potential. I saw possibility. I saw a man who was suffering and needed help, regardless of how he treated me." A knock interrupted their conversation. "Dr. Hoop." Phillips entered, excitement evident. "Vincent, Maria, they're ready downstairs. We have 47 medical professionals, 3 documentary crews, and American Medical Association representatives waiting to observe the demonstration." Vincent looked at Maria with gratitude and nervous energy. "No pressure, right? Vincent, you've already performed the miracle. Now we're just showing others what's possible when we refuse to accept limitations as permanent." The rehabilitation theater was packed with medical expertise. Dr. Elizabeth Morrison from Johns Hopkins, Dr. Hobb Chen Wei from Stanford, Professor James Williams from Oxford, all the specialists who had declared Vincent's paralysis irreversible were present. As Vincent and Maria entered, a hush fell over the crowd. Many had personally examined Vincent and declared his condition hopeless. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dr. Phillips announced, 8 months ago, Vincent Ashford was confined to a wheelchair with what multiple specialists diagnosed as irreversible spinal trauma. Today, he'll demonstrate the results of Dr. F. Lee and Maria Santos's revolutionary rehabilitation protocol. Maria addressed the audience with earned poise. Traditional spinal injury treatment focuses on managing disability rather than reversing it. My approach treats the nervous system as a dynamic, adaptable network that can be retrained through targeted electrical stimulation combined with intensive neural pathway rehabilitation. She gestured to Vincent, who stood confidently despite dozens of skeptical eyes. Mr. Ashford's recovery demonstrates that permanent paralysis is often dormant neural function that can be reactivated through proper intervention. Dr. 40 and 5 instances Ashen. End of quote. Morrison raised her hand. "Dr. Santos, I personally examined Mr. Ashford's imaging. The neural damage was extensive. How do you account for such dramatic recovery?" The imaging showed damaged pathways, not destroyed pathways. Neural tissue has remarkable regenerative capabilities when provided with appropriate stimulation. Mr. Ashford's case proves we've been underestimating the nervous system's healing capacity. Vincent stepped forward, movement fluid despite the attention. 8 months ago, I couldn't feel anything below my waist. I had spent $15 million on treatments that provided no improvement. Dr. Dare. Santos achieved in 10 minutes what teams of specialists couldn't accomplish in 3 years. He began walking across the demonstration area, step steady and sure. But physical healing was only part of my recovery. Dr. Santos taught me that paralysis isn't just about broken bodies, it's about broken spirits. She healed both. The audience watched in stunned silence as Vincent completed movements that should have been impossible: walking, balancing, climbing stairs. Dr. Chen Wei stood up. This is unprecedented. The recovery level contradicts everything we understand about spinal trauma. It contradicts what traditional medicine understands, Maria corrected gently. But it confirms what neuroplasticity research has been suggesting, that the nervous system is far more adaptable than previously believed. Vincent returned to center, slightly winded but exhilarated. I want everyone to understand something, he said, voice carrying throughout the theater. Dr. Santos didn't just give me the ability to walk. She gave me the ability to see past my own prejudices and recognize brilliance I had dismissed because it didn't come packaged as I expected. He looked directly at Maria with profound gratitude. 8 months ago, I looked at this woman and saw someone I considered beneath notice. I judged her by appearance, background, accent. I nearly missed the opportunity to work with one of the most gifted medical professionals I've ever encountered because my prejudice blinded me. The audience murmured, recognizing they were witnessing more than medical demonstration. They were seeing fundamental character transformation. Dr. Santos represents something our medical establishment desperately needs. She represents wisdom to look beyond conventional approaches, courage to challenge established limitations, and compassion to help people regardless of how they treat her. Maria stepped forward, addressing the medical professionals with quiet authority. Vincent's recovery isn't just about one patient learning to walk. It's about medical science learning to expand its definition of what's possible. We have brilliant minds here who could revolutionize rehabilitation medicine if willing to question assumptions and explore unconventional approaches. Dr. Williams from Oxford raised his hand. Dr. Santos, would you collaborate with our spinal injury research team? This protocol needs to be studied, documented, and potentially implemented on larger scale. I'd be honored to collaborate. But I have one condition. What's that? This work needs to be accessible to everyone, not just patients who can afford elite medical centers. The techniques that helped Vincent should be available in community clinics, public hospitals, and rehabilitation centers in underserved communities. Vincent nodded emphatically. The Ashford Foundation will fully fund the development and distribution of your protocols to any medical facility that requests them. No one should be denied this opportunity because of financial limitations. The demonstration concluded with a 5-minute standing ovation. But for Vincent and Maria, the real victory wasn't the applause. It was the knowledge that healing had occurred on multiple levels. 2 years later, the Santos method had been implemented in over 200 medical facilities worldwide. Vincent had recovered 95% of his mobility and had become one of the most vocal advocates for revolutionary medical approaches and healthcare equality. But perhaps most remarkably, the man who had once judged worth by skin color and social status had learned the most important lesson of all, that true healing begins not with fixing broken bodies, but with opening closed minds. The cleaning lady's son had walked again. The concert pianist had regained her hands, and Vincent Ashford had learned to walk in more ways than one. If Vincent's incredible journey from prejudice to healing has inspired you, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with everyone who needs to hear this message. Because the next Maria Santos might be closer than you think, and the world needs their healing power to shine.